lah, no, the not eating seems to do well with the Nila, and sitting, at home, we got more time to do exercise. I suppose we eat better.
That is very interesting, Dato. And Alhamdulillah. I think now you are 59, right, Dato?
60. I'm 60.
Oh,
like,
it's already
60 last
60.
October.
Inshallah, inshallah. Okay. First and foremost, Dato, thank you so very much for spending some of your beautiful afternoon with us in this live FB.
Thank you for inviting me.
No problem, Dato. It is our honor to have you on board. Alhamdulillah. And ladies and gentlemen, we have the Dato Dr Othman Omar, who are the Director General of FELDA, a very famous GLC in our nations. Alhamdulillah, serving almost like 112,000 settlers and owning around 900,000 hectares across Malaysia. Alhamdulillah, FELDA also contribute, I think, significantly in the GDP of Malaysia, especially in the agriculture sector, because oil palm itself is contributing about 38%, where 2.8% contributed to the national GDP. Alhamdulillah, that is a big contribution to the nation. Not taken into consideration the number of employment that have been created by FELDA in Malaysia. Alhamdulillah, Dato'. But we are not going to talk about those issues that have been given the limelight in the past few months about FELDA. But we are here to talk more on the agenda of FELDA, especially after this COVID-19 pandemic. Dato', you have been studying in Australia, right, Dato'? And that is engineering.
Yeah.
and that is wonders, for you to move from engineering to managing business. But of course, you have finished your doctorate in business administration in the UNIS in Krakade in Netherlands, right, Dato'?
Yeah. I mean, engineering is only my first degree lah. That one is probably just to know how to solve problems. But the more impactful, I suppose, education was more from the MBA and the DBA lah.
Yeah.
About running business, about understanding how business model works, and I suppose that has been very useful for me in terms of running organization, agencies, and companies lah.
Yeah. I could see that from your track record, you have been with a hydroelectric company, construction company in Australia itself. And locally, you have been with Propel, you have been with Kesas, and with the subsidiary of SP Setia before you being the MD of KSJ Group. And then eventually you moved to PKNS, where you have been there for quite some time and making, I think,
5 years,
significant contribution to PKNS. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, I was with PKNS for 5 years. So that gave me quite a bit of experience in terms of running GLCs lah. Understanding the business model and how to balance the profit and the social obligation, because it's totally different from the normal profit-driven entities, like the ones that I've been working with most of the time.
Yeah, and as I reiterated earlier, considering to helm FELDA, to me, if I were to be in your shoe, will be something very, very heavy, and I believe that you spend a lot of time, contemplating on receiving the post to lead FELDA, right, Dato'?
Well, it's more like national service lah. Everybody, I've been. The government has been kind to me. When I was young, I was under scholarship, MRSM Seremban, then scholarship to Australia. Then I worked in Australia and in the UK. So I think there's an obligation on my side to return back the favor lah. Because
Thank you.
All the experience and education I get from overseas. I think there's a lot, and I work with a lot of companies to share experience with them. And I also did my own business, and had a business coach. So that helps me to look into the profitability of companies from the totally different perspective. How to do things and how to to have proactive. We cannot be just sitting and waiting for instructions. So you got to make things happen rather than watch things happen. So that helps a bit in my first experience working for GLC, like PKNS. There's a lot of shock also lah, things that GLCs do in terms of their work culture as compared to how the corporate work culture works.
Okay, Dato', looking into the vision of FELDA to become a driver in the progressive development of the nation settlement and the mission to add value for settlers' interests, I believe that you have done a lot of things, to make sure that to put the machinery of FELDA into the right track, to ensure that it serves the purpose and also to materialize the vision. So far, Dato', if you can share with us, I believe that you have put a lot of effort and initiative to transform the organization. And so far, could you please share with us your transformation journey so far in FELDA, Dato'?
Okay, being a GLC, FELDA is unique in the sense that we've got to figure out about balancing the profit or the cash flow as against our social obligation. Is that not just about making profit, but we cannot afford also to spend too much, because we spend a lot on social obligation, more than the income that we have. So we have a deficit. Especially we have a lot of this legacy problem, from the previous era lah. I think 10 years ago, we were doing very well. We have about 1 million acres of our own plantation with palm oil and rubber. And with all, I think we had seven oil palm mills. We had the tank farms, the logistics, the FELDA Angkut. So we make about 1.2 to 1.8 billion every year gross profit. So this helps to subsidize the social obligation that we have, operating the settlers plantation, which is also about 1 million. We have 112,635 settlers. So this work model has worked very well until about 10 years ago when we listed FGV. So what we did was we injected the 1 million acres of planted plantation into FGV, all the 77 mills, the tank farms into FGV. So I think FELDA raised about 6 billion altogether, and we did not actually invested this fund prudently. I think we use it for other purposes. I think 30% of it we acquire assets which were non-core, hotels, overseas and locals. So we have these legacy issues where whatever we raised was not used to prudently invest in core business. So we have continuous losses every year. Since then, we lost about 500 million every year. So this negative cash flow built up. And I think 2019 we had to impair about 5.6 billion. So we have about 14 billion ringgit loan, which now has been reduced about a bit more than 12 billion. So we have to focus on paying off this loan and reducing our debt. So we have to work on a more viable business model. So with these legacy issues that we're trying to sort out along the way, we have to also sort out our cash flow. So it's about enhancing our cash flow situation by divesting some of the non-core assets, reduction of loan. We have this about 7 billion ringgit in settlers loan, which part of it are being paid, but part we have difficulty in collection because we are not designed as a bank. We don't have the facilities to, so we're not as efficient as bank in terms of collection. So that's the work that we had in terms of improving the cash flow. I think we managed to pay off almost about 2 billion worth of debt the last 1.5 years, 2018, 2019, and to reduce our financial debt also, because we have a lot of loan. So this debt has got financial cost to it. You know? So we're
Yes.
spending about 500 million every year. So in interest, that's not include principal payment. So we have to start paying all our debts. So as I mentioned before, we reduced from 14 billion to about 12 billion. So we managed to, it's work in progress. We also have to improve our accounting system because some of the statements that we produce, there were mistakes made 20 years ago. So we have to really go back in history and look at what are those figures and make certain assumptions because it's very difficult. So it's about data integrity. Coming out with the e-Penyata for the settlers account. I think we've got quite far with that in terms of reducing our financial costs. At the same time, we have to start improving our plantation performance. We have the settlers land about 1 million under us, so we have to make sure that they get better revenue as compared to what was before. Because see, in plantation, whatever you spend less in terms of fertilizer, say you don't put fertilizer this year, it looks like you save 300 million, but the impact will be 1 year or 2 years later when you have
the
lower
yield on the yield.
So we have some of the problems with the settlers. They, when the price is good, some of them will kita panggil ambil balik the kebun and they want to operate themselves.
I see.
But we say no, you have to pay us whatever we spend. We spend money in terms of planting, the planting and replanting. But because when the price is good, they don't want us to deduct the loan. Then they don't send the FFB, the oil pump to our mills. This is where we have issues in collection because we cannot deduct the payment. So in terms of improving the yield, we had to look into how do we improve 15 to 20%. So, because having 1 million acres, and if you improve 10%, that means you have 100,000 acres extra. No?
Yes.
So it's a very effective way of improving our revenue. So we have both FELDA plantation, which is we have about 40,000 left. 100 over 1 million acres has been leased to FGV under the long lease land lease arrangement. So this is the other factor that because that we're getting less revenue from that. So improving the governance, improving the cash flow, improving plantation performance, that is work in progress. And also in terms of enhancing the governance, I think we had issues with corruption, and also now we have to take legal action against those directors and management from the previous era and put in more professionals to replace them. So everything is more above board in terms of transparency and corporate governance. And of course, at the same time, we were working on government support. In the previous white paper, we had this 6.23 billion in terms of to be paid to us over the next 4 to 7 years. So, and some of them are in the form of corporate guarantee, or government guarantee. So to help us restructure our loan, because then we can reduce our financial cost. So those has been in place, and some of them are work in progress. And the human resource transformation and looking at how to transform the work culture from the government sort of mentality into something that's more performance based. That's something that we are currently doing.
Dato, thank you, Dato. That is a very long list of initiatives that have been in place so far, and I believe under your leadership that proven in the previous organizations, I think things are getting much more better now. Yeah, as what you have said, more transparency, better governance, and you managed to stop the bleeding, if I may say that, right? Okay, Dato. But this is some of the initiative might not be populist. It is not populist initiative, Dato. It is something that put everybody on their toes and put everybody on disciplines, and compliance. And of course, Dato, to do this, you need support. Yeah, you need support from your management. And moving from the initiative and transformation, Dato, I want to ask you the second question, which is during this MCO, which is a good time to reflect our past achievement. You have mentioned about the achievement of FELDA in the past 10 years. It's brilliant. It's flying colors. Yeah, you have a lot of cash every year to spend for the social responsibility and also to pay back to the governments. And during this MCO, Dato, what should be the needed management? Because next after you will be the management. Yeah. So what should be the needed management vaccines? I may say that, Dato, post-COVID, because now it's COVID. Post-COVID surviving organizational challenges, because there will be a lot of challenges after this, and you need the management, the team to support you. So what will be from you? What would be the vaccine needed for them, for these people?
Well, I think there'll be new challenges. The new normal, based on how we're going to operate. Of course, the things that has been going on previously in terms of the social distance, the wearing of PPE, masks, and screening when you go to office. During the MCO, we had experience of actually doing work from home. That taught us a lot in terms of how to be more effective. We found that some of the work can be done from home, and we have things based on those WebEx, Zoom, MS Team. So we had a lot of meetings, and we could be effective. So we might look into a more flexible arrangement once we come back after COVID. But at the same time, it gives us a lot of time to look at what are the areas that we need to change in post-COVID. So it's about embracing the change. So we found that implementation excellence is important for the speed of doing business, because we have a lot of opportunities. FELDA has a lot of resources. We have plantation. People want to come and do collaboration with smart farming. They want to do alternative crops. We want to do high ROI ventures. We have people from overseas and local, like Agrico from Qatar. They had experience of actually converting Qatar within 2 years from a net importer of food to a net exporter of food, converting all those deserts into greenhouses. But there need to be a strategy. You need to have cheap electricity so that you can have more efficient temperature control greenhouses. That makes it cheap. So we are not looking at that possibility, but we have this opportunity where we have the resources, we have the land, we have, of course, the money can come from our subsidiaries or the cooperative like KPF. But we need people who are technology partners to help us. So this is where we've invited local and overseas companies like Bongro in urban agriculture and smart farming, and then people who are international companies from Middle East, from New Zealand, from Australia, from the US, and from Silicon Valley, who wants to work with us. And we have this program currently called PPP, Program Pembangunan Peroka, where we are looking to alternative income for the settlers. So this gives us a good opportunity to look into alternative revenues for us and for the settlers. And in principle, the yield per hectare will be 10 times or even 100 times more than what we're currently getting from oil palm. Especially in areas where, like we have rubber plantations previously, and because rubber price has not been good, we convert them into oil palm. But the problem is because these were rubber areas, because the rainfall distribution is not high enough. We need about 1,800 to 2,000 mm of rainfall every year to plant oil palm. But this is the same reason why we have many areas in Malaysia that has this rainfall, but people like Thailand, they don't have this opportunity. So they have no choice but to go into other crops. That's the reason why they're so advanced in the other crops, in fruits and vegetables. We and Indonesia were blessed with this rainfall, very good soil. So we stick to something very safe, which is plantation. So we did not really explore into the other alternative crops. It's got higher yield, better return, better ROI. So coming back to our, we have to look at into what if we need to change our business model. Instead of using being 100% oil palm, we can probably allocate about 20% to 30% the higher yield crops. See, like pineapple is like 5 times oil palm. Even durian is like 10 times oil palm. If you go into the greenhouses, all this smart farming, it can be 100 times. But of course, the capex is higher. So this is why we're exploring into renewable energy to provide. We have a lot of land to do solar farm, but we have this opportunity and resources, but our inability to implement them effectively and at the speed of doing business, then people just lost interest. So we have to relook at our business model, how we provide services to the others. We have to really change our mindset about looking at these people as our business partners or investors, rather than looking at, hey, we are the authority, you come, you apply. Isi borang. So we need to change that mindset. And I think, I mean, based on the earlier mindset where we were working more like government servants, that's why they say government shouldn't be in the business, because we don't have that drive. For business to succeed, you gotta be in the farm at 2 o'clock in the morning and get out at 4 o'clock. That's not something we do in the government. So we tend to lose money when we do these projects on our own. We have the Gedung Makanan Negara, the Sentuhan Kasih. These projects which we spend hundreds of millions, but we lose money. Just imagine if this is done by the private sector. I don't want to be racist, but if a Chinese farmer had 10 acres or 1 million acres, they will do a lot of wonders. So you got to think, what should be done with this land so that we get better return. And knowing our capacity, we're not so we have to change the way we do business, and we have to change the work culture that we have. We have issues, working in silo in government. We recently had this MIND, the new values.
Yes.
Menambah nilai, integrity, gagah, hormat, menghormati, dan tolong menolong. Means adding value, integrity, being bold, respect, teamwork, working as. So we need the buy-in from the staff, so that they really understand, internalize this work culture. So some of the things that we did was to do like an internal branding audit to find out more from them, their mindset. Like I said before, a lot of them thinks we're not here to make profit. So you end up with a lot more event management and protocol. So you have more political events. It's more just for bringing in the politicians to come in, potong ribbon. So it's not impactful in terms of, but it's impactful in terms of because we cover 54 parliamentary seats, so it has huge impact.
You're in the limelight. Okay, Dato, if I may say, a lot that you have been explaining about the potential that FELDA has, and the business model, and again the potential that if you were to change the business model to different crops, and the potential is so huge. But you keep on reiterate that because the culture and the way that people look at FELDA and the settlers is more like authority and perhaps might be your target groups, so they have to feel informed, things like that. So if I may rephrase what you have said just now, so the management of FELDA should look differently from the different perspective altogether about the core business of FELDA. They are not there to be the authority in managing all the activities of the settlers, but they are there to look into the potential that can be developed, yeah, by settlers, and they have to look at the settlers more like business partner rather than just target group. Then eventually, perhaps might be, like what you have said, to emulate what to emulate the mind, the new corporate culture of FELDA, and then the first one is basically menambah nilai, and you put there the element of creative and innovative thinking to make sure that this can be, something that can be turned into profitable ventures, yeah, rather than FELDA doing it. Perhaps might be now the settlers involved with it, and I believe that, if they look at the potential and they see the potential, they will be committed towards that, and FELDA will just be the change agent, yeah, to encourage, to inspire these people. So rather than become the authority, now I think the vaccines for the management that we have just said, basically the change of mindset, looking into different way of doing a relationship with the settlers, more like change agent, to encourage them to venture into different crops altogether, because the potential is there. So it should start from the FELDA side. Is that a
Yeah, it's about transforming our human resource so that the mindset, like the same experience that I had when I was in PKNS, the mindset to change that, to be more customer centric. So who is the customer? Our external customer are the settlers and the business, the investors, our JV partners, people, our suppliers. So in terms of settlers, how do you treat them? Previously, we say that we authority, you have some of the managers on site complaining about of course these settlers, they come in, when they come in office, baju kotor, they ask, oh, leave the shoes outside, why are you so dirty? But I see these guys are your clients. You should look at them as, see, like some banks, and they have their premium customer. So they make coffee for them, everything full service, so you don't have to wait, you don't have to queue. So we want our own staff to treat the settlers and clients like that. They want to bring business to you. So you cannot, I suppose, you have to respect them. You've got to know what are the services and service with full efficiency and effectiveness, so that you can help to solve the problem. And the same thing with potential partners. Other people want to mine our land, or they want to do alternative crops, or partners wants to do smart farming with us. They are the ones who are going to make a lot of profit for us. So you cannot expect them to come and fill out the form, submit the proposal, and then wait for 6 months before we come up to the management for approval, and then wait for another 6 months before the board will approve. Then people will go away. So we're not customer friendly enough to get the best from our synergistic partners. These people can make a lot of money for us. My previous experience with PKNS, we had about 100 over joint venture partners. They made a lot of profit for us. Some of them give us 6,000 dividend, 6,000% dividend.
MashaAllah.
We can't make that sort of dividend ourselves. When we do our own project, we lose money, or we have to heavily subsidize. But when we do with them, they have their brand, they have their expertise, they have their market, and they have their own advantage. So these are the things that we need to inculcate in our own culture. Of course, we have to make sure that they learn and continuously learn and transform themselves. So it's about continuous learning. And we have culture, like the 21-point book review, where one person read the book, then 10 of them will collectively read 10 books, 10 different books, and then share. So instead of having to read 20 books, you read one book, but you have the benefit of
10 books.
20 books, 10 books. So this new culture, or impact meetings, where we sit down and work out what are the impact areas. Find 3 locations, because you cannot do 101 things. So we find that 3 areas where it's going to make the most difference, and just focus on those. So then you can make a lot of difference in terms of the operations.
So Dato, if I may continue, Dato, a few more,
Okay.
one or two more questions, Dato, before we start preparing for our iftar. So, looking at the facts that you have shared just now, you have an uphill task of paying back 12 billions, yeah, of loan, and then almost like 500 million interest in a month, not taking into consideration the capital payment and the principal payment, and the low yield, and then again, the mindsets. So it is an uphill task, Dato, for you in FELDA. I mean, my next question will be, what will be your inspiring move in FELDA? And I'm jump to the next the second last question. What would be your inspiring move in FELDA to make sure that you can make sure the governance is there, the cash flow is good, and make sure that your team mindsets change rather than looking at the work as just work into how do I do business with the settlers, how do I encourage them. And now with the third generation of FELDA settlers, I believe there are a lot of talents there. So how do you fuse between the official of FELDA and with the third generation of FELDA to start something new, where they can be your strategic partners, like what you have just said just now, and they could churn up a lot of income for FELDA. So what will be your next inspiring move, Dato, in FELDA, and how do you continue inspiring others in FELDA to make sure that we achieve something, if not equal to what we have achieved in the past 10 years, might be better.
So we need effective communication with engagement with the staff, engagement with the settlers, and to get the buy-in from them. That's why they were involved at the beginning on coming out the vision, the mission, and the strategic intent. So we have every year, workshops on how whether we need to shift, because we need to if the market change or the CPO price goes up, CPO price go down, and we have different challenges at different times. So we need to embrace change and to get them to understand, what is that goal that doesn't change, and to keep us focused and keep the information simple. So sometimes communication can be too complicated. You don't actually know what we're talking about. So it's about focus, and of course it's also about training and coaching. We need them to understand better, to communicate better, not to so like we were working in silo, how to improve teamwork and synergistic partnership. So we do it. See, think about in the government sector, we can't use too many of Stephen Covey, on 7 Habits, because they are more inclined to listen to more spiritual, So we have people like Abid Liu to give to give talks. We have daily tazkirah during Zuhur, and get our ustads to work on topics that are more relevant. Because I told them when I first came in, most of the topics are about Rohingya, Palestine, and I said these are important, but it's not really relevant to our work. Now it's more about working in integrity, keikhlasan, the sincerity to work. So you need to more like jihad, working hard. So it's not about 5 o'clock then want to go home and send your kids. It's about getting things done. It's about being competent. Trust is about being both sincere, trust, and also being competent. If you don't take money but you cause a lot of losses because you are incompetent in managing projects, then people don't trust you. So it's not just being not lying or telling the truth. It's also about you need to have the capacity to deliver. So this is what we have to make them understand in terms of it. And then we train them in that sense, and of course a healthy competition is also good. So we set up certain like EKPI monitoring for the various wilayah and rancangan, so that you can see who perform. Which regional general managers perform better than others. Even during the COVID time, there are certain regions that do not have a single case. There are certain reasons that have cases. But we've been lucky to not have any death yet. So then they will compete in terms of performing, in terms of making sure that social distance, the PPE, the roadblocks to make sure that people, when we started off, these settlers it's very difficult to, all the pasar malam is still there. So we need to make sure that we take very drastic action.
I see.
So and also with synergy collaboration and teamwork with other companies. When we have this collaboration with other companies, then they can see how others operate and how speed of doing business is also important. From there, then we can see it, because like I mentioned before, sometimes to do on your own, it becomes a very tough job. But other people, they have other expertise in terms of technology providers. Some people has got more money than us. Even our cooperative, KPF, Koperasi Permodalan FELDA, KPF, they got more money than us because they didn't buy as many FGB shares previously, so they didn't get hit. We bought them at 4.55. Now it's about 80-90 cents. So how much money we've lost in terms of having to impair the value of these assets. So it's about making the message clear with them, getting the buy-in from them, and motivating them. We need to get the low-hanging fruits, make sure that we succeed, we deliver this, and then we get to the next one. So we found that that's important to maintain the motivation among the and also in terms of the training, we have to make sure that they have the effective communication skill, the problem-solving skills, getting the right people in the right place. Sometimes you have people very good in certain areas, people who are good on the site. When you bring them to office, they don't know what to do. So getting the right people on the bus. If you get the right people on the bus, you don't have to worry about where you want to go. They might end up arriving at further where you earlier planned. You might want to go to Putrajaya, you end up in London. So
getting the right people on board. It sounds like the one of the point in the Built to Last book. I think you must be reading that book as well. Okay, Dato, I think that brought us to the last question. It is very interesting, and I believe that there are a lot of things to be discussed. You have a lot of ideas, but okay, the time is not with us. So my last question, Dato, today, Alhamdulillah, PM have make an announcement that from 4th of May above, almost, I think a majority of the business can go full swings, and I think that inclusive of FELDA. So Dato, almost like 50 days, that we have been under the PKP for different phases. So there will be the new norms, Dato, the new norms during this PKP, like what you are doing now with me, looking from video call, which we have this option before, but we don't opt for it because we are so used with the old norms. So there will be new norms, and with the new norms, it come challenges. So Dato, the new norm, what will be the new? How does this new norm and how does it pose challenges in doing business in FELDA, Dato?
Well, in terms of plantation, there are the businesses that are going to go do very well after the COVID. Like food plantation, we've been lucky. These are some of the sectors that are critical. People still have to eat. But of course, we have certain, like hotels, and we have hotels in London and locally. The travel, under the FGV group, that's the FELDA travel. So those people will have to be retrained and do other more productive areas like marketing but we have to relook into our investment because hotel is not our core business. But I suppose one of the diversification initiatives previously done, they were looking at this could be another area that we want to, but somehow I don't think it's something that's going to work for us. So we have to look at where is our strength. Of course, the normal ones, in normal operation, we need to adhere to the SOP, the hand gestures instead of shaking, the wearing of the mask, the PPE, the hand washing, the sanitizing, and then no more gathering in terms of event management. But in terms of operating, this coming Monday, we are looking at operating at half capacity, where alternate days, different people will come to make sure that we can still effectively operate without risking the organization health. But we also looking at the strategies moving forward in terms of our the food production, in terms of plantation. Of course, the challenges in plantation is that we always have shortage of workers. These are foreign workers, so we have to look into mechanization. We have to look into the industrial 4.0 IoT, the using drones and this seems to be more popular with the younger generation. We have to make sure that we hype up agriculture so that more locals want to participate. See, the locals, they want to know, if they wear nice overalls, work using iPads, and then or apps. The whole idea of the future of smart farming is you have someone who goes to work in the morning, breakfast, he eating his roti canai, he'll be playing with his handphone and setting up the fertilizer, all the smart farming, all the drips, setting up the temperature of the glass greenhouses. So by the time they get to work, everything is fully operational. So we need to get them to be interested in, because if not, then we have to use a lot of foreign laborers. And we found that these are the areas that we have started working. Of course, things like smart farming, we rather partner with people who are already there. That's why we're talking to these companies, USA, from Qatar, from New Zealand, from Singapore, and even locals. There are many locals who are also already producing, like one company, Boomgro, that we spoke to. They can even control the sweetness of the tomato that we export to, say, Singapore. So from there, how do you control the drips, the water, the temperature? So these are areas that we want to explore further. In terms of plantation, how to improve but we have other, in terms of associate companies like FGV, they are also in logistics. Logistics also is another good area that we think has got. Now I think our tank farm is like 90 to 95% full, because everybody, they want to sell the oil palm, they rather store it, waiting for better pricing.
Yes.
And I think a lot of this, you can see all the Grab food, the Food Panda are doing very well. So we have to convert a lot of our business into online, the digital drive. So we look at education and healthcare are also areas where there's a lot of positive upside, and also how we can change and use the IT and tech providers to have more online platforms, like online shopping, the use of digital and non-contact platform, so that those are the areas that we think. But of course, there are areas that we think that we know for a fact that oil and gas, they got to find a different way of doing business. Travel and tourism is going to have a hard time for the next one and a half years. Manufacturing, we know some manufacturing companies, like in China, the factories, they within 1 or 2 months they change totally the model, change the machine, and start supplying manufacturing like safety, all this PPE and so if you are quick, then you can catch up what the market wants, what the market demands. And once the thing is over in their country, they start supplying to the whole world, because that's the whole world still need them continuously. So like airlines going to have a hard time, but I know some airlines are converting their passenger planes into cargo planes, so they can keep on getting a better return, a better yield on their assets. So we also have to look into how to sweat our assets and make sure that we have the best yield, the best ROI, and operate them even at half the capacity. Like now, offices a huge glut in Kuala Lumpur. And then with this coming with the COVID, so we think it's going to be a lot tougher. So we have to make sure that we have high occupancy in our office. We have offices in KLCC, where our HQ is currently. So we have to make sure that we get the right yield, and if not, then these assets are not performing well. So we need to find innovative ways into in doing this stuff. And I think one of the toughest area will be the graduates. The graduates who are coming out. Jobs are coming. There's a lot of people that might lose their jobs because companies are scaling down. So we need to find ways on how to fully utilize them into our programs.
Okay, Dato. That is the last questions, and if I may summarize what you have just said, Dato, during our almost like 40-minute conversation, Dato. First and foremost, I think what you have emphasized is the importance of good governance in your organizations. So that is your first priority: good governance, and top up with the integrity. Yeah. And then that is basically to make sure that the company in good shape and in a good cash flow. Then eventually you are looking into the change of mindset of your team, of the management team, rather than looking FELDA as a government authority to a different business model, and then eventually to change their mindset from just become authority to business partners. Yeah, looking into the potential throughout the settlers where you can develop different businesses. Yeah, and of course you are also looking into the tapping the talent from the third generation of the FELDA. So we can fuse the change agent mindset of the FELDA officers with the talent from the third generation of FELDA, then perhaps something can be developed with the additions of technology. Perhaps might be we don't have to opt for the outside company, but might be the youngsters with good talent, running like what you just said, having coffee and roti chana, and then eventually setting all the machineries. So I think now perhaps they don't understand the big picture of FELDA. They thought that this is the traditions and they cannot change that. Yeah, but if the FELDA officers change their mindset and the business model change and the way we look at the settlers change, perhaps might be something better can be done. And of course, with the government IR from 4.0, things can be much more better. Dato, thank you so very much for your time, Dato. I really appreciate it. And it's always inspiring talking to you. And inshallah, we hope to be able to meet somewhere again. If not on the online platform, perhaps maybe we'll meet person to person. Thank you so very much, Dato. And
thank you.
Wish you a good iftar. Selamat berbuka puasa tu. Thank you, Dato. Okay, Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi.